Hi, everybody. This is Barbara Marison from JoyanneSuccess.com. I have with me Deirdre and Bob Griswold, and they've been working at this for a long time and designed wonderful apps. And I'm going to let both of them tell you how long they've been doing this and what they've been doing, and we'll take it. Well, listen to them. So, welcome, guys, and go ahead and talk about your business and how long you've been doing this. And I know it's been a long time, and you've been really helping people in the self-development world for a long time.
Well, Barbara, it started about 50 years ago, a little over that, actually. And Deirdre and I were married. We're going to be married 57 years in a couple months.
Oh, wow.
And, but at that time, I was struggling with some really difficult issues. I couldn't relax. I had 4 children under the age of 5.
Yeah.
Hard for her. We did that before Pampers. But at the time, I couldn't relax. I had insomnia, I had ulcers, and I had migraine headaches. And I was fearful that I wouldn't be able to support my family, that I'd be a failure. So I looked for ways that I could help myself, and my doctors couldn't seem to help at all. So I went elsewhere. I started reading positive thinking books. I read dozens of them. And they're good books, great books like The Magic of Believing by Claude Bristol, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy, Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. Great books. But I'd agree with the author as I'm reading it, put the book down, and it didn't change me. And it just seems there's some things you don't get from books. You don't read a book on how to ride a bicycle and then jump on and start riding. So you have to have an experience. You have to internalize that learning. So I kept looking. I studied hypnosis and self-hypnosis. I studied yoga, an excellent discipline. I loved it, but I hurt my back a couple of times practicing the postures, and I didn't stay with it. So then I got into meditation, and meditation had promise. I liked the way I could kind of relax and center myself. But the breakthrough came when I realized I could use that relaxed state of mind to change the programming that I've had, all the negative programming I've had in my brain from the time I was a child. I was able to rid myself of that and replace it with positive thoughts, images, and feelings. And that's how productive meditation got started. I was making meditation productive.
Well, that's amazing. Like, just keep on going, because I'm fascinated by that, by how you were able to do that.
Okay. And in 1972, I founded Effective Learning Systems. And since then, about 48 years, we've reached over 1 million people. We've helped over 1 million people make positive changes in their lives. How to improve in school, business, sports, health, relationships, control weight, overcome fears. Any area of life you can change. And it's like my friend Buckminster Fuller, our friend, we got to know him quite well. He was considered a genius in many respects. He was called the Leonardo da Vinci of our time. He was an architect, he was an engineer, he was a poet, he was a best-selling author, engineer, everything. Anyway, he said that every child is born a genius, but is enslaved by the negativity of the adult world and spends the rest of his or her life trying to undo that perspective. And that's why we believe virtually everyone has an excellent computer in their head, better than any computer that's ever existed. But we have programming, and some of that programming is negative. And the negative programming sometimes brings us down to a point where we are not really ourselves. We have adapted false limitations. So we struggle, and we go through life without realizing what we could have been, what we could have felt like. And that's what me. I wanted to make a change in that for myself and for others. I started sharing it with other people, and it worked for them.
And how did you do that? Is it changing the brain or getting in and really like feel like I'm doing the negative programming and putting the positive? So many people have tried to do that and it doesn't work. But what did you do differently that it obviously worked?
Well, I did seminars and workshops and where I had people, I could get them to be relaxed in a relaxed state of mind. And then I would give them positive programming, affirmations, visualization, and I show them how they can change. And the way it worked best was if we put positive emotions into it. Emotion-backed programming is very powerful. And so it becomes a reality in your mind, and then you see the reality in your physical life.
There was an experiment that was run in the professions back in the early 70s. And they wanted to do an experiment with basketball players. So they took 3 groups of basketball players, 25 people in each group. The first group, they told that group to practice shooting free throws for 30 minutes a day for 30 days. The second group, they said, don't touch a basketball, don't even think of basketball for the next 30 days. And then the third group of 25, they said, don't touch a basketball, but every day, vividly imagine yourself shooting free throws perfectly for 5 minutes a day. At the end of 30 days, they got the group back together again to test their free throw ability. The group that practiced physically showed a 24% improvement. You expect that. The group that never touched a basketball showed no improvement. As a matter of fact, their skills fell off. The interesting thing was the third group, the group that practiced mentally for 5 minutes a day, showed a 23% improvement in free throw ability. So the psychological field began to realize how important the imagination is. Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, if you have a fear of heights, you can get over that fear. If you get into an elevator, take it to the top of the World Trade Center, go out on the roof and peer down at the ground and do that every day for 30 minutes. And pretty soon at the end of 30 days, you won't be afraid of heights anymore. Mm-hmm. The problem is, how do you get the courage to do it the first time? Mm-hmm. So now he knew, and he started to run these experiments with his students where they could use their imagination to accomplish things, to get rid of angst, get rid of anxiety, to feel better about themselves. And then he founded productive meditation. As he said, meditation is great, but you can use that state of consciousness to accomplish things. The two of us have done amazing things. The way I started off in life, I was probably chosen the last to succeed in anything I did. And I have done so many things in my life that is just like, it blows my classmates away. They can't believe it. So it's all due to the work he's been doing.
Well, it's amazing when imagination, I mean, kids can do anything. And they've got so much imagination going on. But as you say, as you hang out with adults who kind of lose it after a while, and they become, the kids grow up and they become like the adults and they lose their imagination. And I think that to be able to to get back to that state, use your imagination and just be able to fly and do whatever you want to do, that you can do it. And I think that the fact that you've done it with so many people and teaching people how to do it is fascinating, because I don't think anyone's ever really approached that. They talk about using their imagination, how important that is, but nobody's ever really shown anyone, how do you do it? Like, how do you go back to that childlike state with your imagination?
You never lose it. You never lose it.
Barbara, the authors that I was talking about with all those positive thinking books, they all seem to agree that we only use a very small percentage of our potential. Most of them say about 10%. Mm-hmm. Einstein said 5%. Well, let's say I felt this way. If I'm using 10%, what if I could use 5 more percent, 15 or 20%? What would my life be like? If we all did it, what would the world be like? So that's what has driven us so long. And I have accomplished a lot in my life. And so has Deirdre, very much. But if you ask us both, we'll tell you honestly, we haven't used anywhere near our full potential. Not even half, not even close.
Yeah, I know, like we're spirits and human bodies and being able to use that energy. And I think like, is this the same as like visualization? Is it like visualization at all, or
We have visualization techniques. We teach it in the classes. We have audio programs on it too. And we practice it in almost all the programs have visualization in them.
I know a lot of people like talk about like going back to your childhood and seeing what was wrong and undoing it and then starting over. But this, you're not doing that. You're just like going full steam ahead, going forward.
Whatever you can vividly imagine, you can actualize it. That's proven.
Yeah, but I guess it's like getting to that next step. How does that happen? Like, you know, like you can imagine something. How do you make it happen? That's what you seem to be able to teach.
Well, it has to be real in your mind. You have to believe it. Like our friend Wayne Dyer said, I think he read a book by this title, I'll see it when I believe it.
Yeah.
You have to believe it. And we found out the people in our classes were making great progress. We had graduate meetings. They come back every week, and they make great progress, much more than I have in many respects. And then I found they were asking for tapes. In those days, that was the technology.
Cassette tapes, yeah.
Yeah, cassette tapes that they could use to supplement what they got in the class. Well, I found out later that they were sending them to friends, and their friends were benefiting from the tapes even without the workshop.
Wow.
So I said, well, there's a market here. So I started marketing the tapes, and pretty soon I had a catalog, and I was advertising in Prevention magazine, and we sold millions.
It sounds fascinating. I could certainly use it. I think, you know, because you do get to a point where like, okay, now what? And it seems like you just sort of bypassed all the okay, now what? And you just let people just run and
We got them into the Barnes and Noble bookstores, and we were on Barnes and Noble's bestseller list for over 10 years.
Really. I think it's wonderful because like it's, you know, law of attraction and positive thinking and all that, which is great, but people get stuck because they know this and they know what Wayne Dyer said and they believe what Wayne Dyer says, but for them to actually go ahead and believe what they believe, it's because we're so programmed not to believe that, and just cutting through all the red tape of what you're supposed to be, that learning new things or who we really are, basically.
Now we have the app, and the app has all of our programs, My Life's Work, Her Life's Work, on this app.
Wow.
And for pennies a day, they have access to that, and they have like these 150 programs would serve like a support system, life coaches, and they're at your fingertips every day, wherever you go.
Well, if you have like issues, like let's say about losing weight, but you have money issues and relationship issues and everything else, could you listen to just even one of the apps and they'll benefit? If you're listening to the losing weight app, would it help with the money app and friendship app?
Well, it's all on one app. There's programs
Uh-huh.
on each app. There's 150 programs on the app.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So they would get the app and then just go to figure out what they need.
Choose the ones they want, and
Mhm.
and then and you know what? Sometimes you say, well, I don't need that, but maybe you do a week later or a month later.
Mhm.
Something happens in your life. You're put into a situation where you're dealing with people who are very negative, and we have one called Coping with Negative and Difficult People. So, and it works. We get public speaking. You may not have to speak now, but it's a great fear. More people fear that than death. Yeah. And if you use that program, I've had so many people say it works for them. They can get up and speak, and they're very comfortable.
And you just listen to it and just kind of changes your brain? That's how it works? How does it actually work?
Well, the more you fill yourself with positive emotions, positive thoughts, feelings, it creates a different place for you. You gain confidence. You gain confidence even before you've done it.
Yeah, well, that's amazing. And so are you still out there teaching people how to do it? Are you doing seminars or
No,
workshops?
I haven't done that for many years now. But, I'm 85.
Wow. That's great because a lot of people your age just go downhill. But you're still active and enjoying life, it seems. Um,
Deirdre used it to get herself in shape. She started working out, and I told her, you could have your own classes. I convinced her she could do it. She did. And she used my classroom at first for her classes. And then she started opening up studios, and she had a chain of studios. And then she helped some of the biggest successful health clubs get started. She was teaching 5 different classes a day.
that's amazing. Yeah, because a lot of people start exercising and that's it. They last a month or two, especially in January, and then they don't continue. But it sounds like your program is a different way to teach people how to exercise or want to get their mind to actually want to do it.
Correct.
People come to our class, they say, I had to get here. I needed this. I was so frustrated today. I had to work out.
That's amazing. Do you still have your classes in your studios, or
They're still being taught.
really?
They're just not leading the classes anymore.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, I think that you guys are really fascinating because it's like I've been in the personal development world myself for a long time, and it's like every time I follow somebody new and you're hearing the same thing all the time, and you're making progress. But it sounds like what you're doing is really making progress, really going forward.
The name of our app, Barbara, is the Wise Guide app. The Wise Guide app. And the reason we call it that is there's so much wisdom in this app. In doing the research for each program, every program on that app was well researched. Mm-hmm. And I used information from some of the greatest minds in history. I go back to the old philosophers, but many of them in recent years, I got to meet and work with. People like Wayne Dyer. We have so many, Buckminster Fuller. I used to put on conferences at the University of Minnesota and bring in all these doctors, and they would talk about health and attitude and how that can, how you can use your mind to have better health. And they became friends, and we worked with them. They gave me suggestions. I took ideas from them. So this Wise Guide app is full of wisdom. And it's sometimes after I haven't listened to a program, we'll be driving along in the car on a trip, and we put one on, and I think, wow, that was really good. I forgot how good it was.
Now, it's just one app you get? Do you have CDs or just an app?
We have CDs.
We have CDs, but most people younger people especially, are into apps.
And they can buy a single program and get a digital download, and then they can play it in our app. Our app is a player also. So if they only wanted a couple of different programs, that's all available to them.
I'm going to check it out myself. I think I could use it with them. It sounds like I probably use a lot of them. And so where do they go to get them? WiseGuideApp.com?
The WiseGuideApp.com is our one website, or EffectiveLearning.com is our main website that tells all about us.
Well, it's great. I'm so impressed. I think, you've really opened up you haven't opened up the personal development world right now because you've been opening it up for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know about you, but now, hopefully they do, and they will continue to, I'm certainly getting the word out to whoever I can get it out to.
Good.
And
Well,
know.
the reason Deirdre really got this app going, because I'm not that technical, but she worked very hard on it. And she did it because she didn't want to see my work die. You know, when no one lives forever. And I would love to know that it's still doing some good.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's like everybody wants to feel like they've made a difference, and not only in this lifetime, but forever. And I guess you got the musicians out there. Frank Sinatra's still out there, and people are listening to him. And
Sure.
what you're doing will continue, and for a long, long time. And in personal development, I think the world is getting more like that. That they're interested in making their lives better, and not so much getting the financial whatever the toys, but really feel better about themselves. So it's you said it all in a short amount of time, which is amazing, and I'm really grateful that you're on, and we'll get the word out. I mean, I want more people to know about you guys, and that's really exciting. So they will know more. So thank you so
Thank
much
you, Barbara.
for being on. And again, thank you so much. I'm sure you guys got so much information out of this video with Bob and Deirdre, and go on his website and check out some of his apps and see if they can make your world a lot better. So thank you so much.